First drafts don't have to be perfect, they just have to be written. I sometimes see that quote floating around the interwebs, and it's a wonderful reminder of what we already know. We just need to write it. How? Well, let me give you a behind-the-scenes look at the messiness that is my drafting process. The big problem is that in order to create something wonderful, you first have to have that gut-wrenchingly awful first draft as your foundation, and it hurts to make happen. Creating art is bearing your soul, and when your soul at the end of a first draft looks like Dorian Gray's painting after he's gone on several benders and committed murder, well, it's discouraging, to say the least. And we don't talk about this nearly enough. It's embarrassing and definitely not fun, but the shameful aspect of creating a terrible first draft can be tempered if we actually talk about how bad they are, have been, can be, because they are necessary. There's nothing to be ashamed about. But if you feel like you're stuck or like you're alone in these feelings, just know that you are so not. If you come join us in the musical theater writing collective community, you will see that you will be surrounded by people who have felt these feelings and gone through the process of working through this exact same thing. Okay, so you know that beautiful moment when you're suddenly struck with inspiration and you're filled with all these ideas and all this energy? Things about your story just suddenly seem to click. Isn't that just such a wonderful feeling? So what do I do when I have that feeling before starting the first draft? Do I run to my computer, sit down and start typing? Ha! Nope. I mean, I do immediately write down a bunch of notes for everything that came to mind, maybe even create a list of things to do, but it's generally at least a week before I sit down and actually start typing the thing out. But isn't that just laziness and procrastination, you ask? Nope, it isn't. First off, I just want to say that procrastination is absolutely 100% a part of writing. There's great value to waiting to write. Sometimes ideas need to percolate and sit and develop a little bit before you actually go to write the thing. Well, let me just show you a little step-by-step of my process. Step 1, have an idea. Step 2, determine in my head whether or not I like said idea. 3, imagine how that idea might function as a piece or as part of a piece. 4, determine that it could indeed actually work, and then do nothing about it for a stretch of time. 5, continue to think about the idea and its possibilities. 6, decide on which possibilities make sense to me. 7, decide which of those possibilities excite me. 8, jot down a few notes in my phone or a notebook. 9, continue to not write, but think over all of these ideas in detail. Give them the space to grow and breathe and become something more concrete. 10, make the decision that it is indeed now time to write. 11, create that time and put it in my schedule. 12, when that day and time arrive, do everything else I've been procrastinating on instead of write. 13, get annoyed at myself for not writing, but then acknowledge the fact that all those other things needed attention too, and they needed to get decluttered so I could write. 14, begin to hate the idea, and then like it again, and then get excited about it again. 15, schedule another time in my calendar, likely the next day. 16, when that time arrives, sit down and write fuller, more detailed notes, and create an outline. 17, be frustrated because now I am excited and very prepared, but also so put off by the blank white page in front of me, and likely I'm way too caffeinated. 18, write the most basic amount that I possibly can in the rest of the time I have allotted. Sometimes this is less than a page. 19, sigh with relief that I have finally broken the seal and put something down on paper. 20, come back to it as often as I possibly can in the rest of my schedule to get the rest of that draft out, trying not to judge and edit as I go. This is a skill that must be mastered constantly. 21, have a completed first draft that I am proud of and love, but also hate, but also love to hate. And 22, put that draft away somewhere and don't even think about it again, let alone start editing, because we need some time away from each other to just sit and breathe. Sound exhausting? You betcha. So, what's the end result here? A first draft that is not only not perfect, but is really pretty rough. And that's okay. It should be. It needs to be. Brilliance doesn't just fall out onto the paper. It needs to be crafted out of the mire that we initially put down. And I know that so far I've only been talking about first drafts, but the drafting process doesn't really change throughout a show's development. First drafts may be a little bit harder because of the big blank white page in front of you, and that it's harder to have a starting place, but really, every subsequent draft goes through pretty much the same process after that. And I love that we use the term final draft for our finished script, because a script is never really finished. It's just the last draft that was in existence before the show was frozen. Because, let's remember, scripts are drafted and then redrafted and redrafted and redrafted until someone tells us, stop! I'm gonna produce or license this in this form. Step away. Writing takes courage every single time, but it's a lot easier to work through later drafts if your formatting was correct from the start, and you can learn all about that by clicking here next. Otherwise, thank you all for being here with me today, and I'll see you again soon. Cheers!